This is the problem with radical liberal discourse on sexuality. I was introduced to the world of sexuality workshops in my early 20s. Lacking an understanding of alternative perspectives on sexuality, I couldn't identify the agenda behind the ideas presented in these workshops, nor did I have the tools to critically examine them. The underlying agenda is broadly this: the sexuality of the modern Western individual is repressed, which leads to psychological and physical pathologies in the worst cases, and in less severe cases to a lack of self-fulfillment. This is because sexual energy is considered the life force, and if it is blocked, you're not realizing your full potential. To heal these pathologies, it's necessary to liberate sexuality from the layers of judgment and guilt we've been taught to carry as a result of societal messages about sexuality from childhood. To summarize in one sentence, in modern society, sexuality is taboo, which makes our relationship with it charged and distorted. So we need to rewire our perceptions of sexuality to achieve healthy sexuality. On the surface, it's hard to find anything problematic with these claims. We all recognize that there can be pathologies surrounding sexuality, just as there can be around our appetite for food. We also understand that sexuality affects us in various areas, not just in romantic or sexual relationships. Anyone struggling with sex addiction knows all too well how much it impacts other aspects of life. However, the problem is that sexuality in these workshops and festivals has turned into a pagan cult. In other words, sexuality is treated as a god. It sits at the top of the hierarchy, and everything must be sanctified in its name. The original intention, which may have come from a good place, to strip sexuality of beliefs that ultimately distort it and turn it into something deviant and unhealthy, has morphed into an agenda of absolute sexual liberation and uninhibited expression. There's no judgment regarding sexuality. Whatever your sexual desire tells you to do is legitimate as long as you're not imposing it on someone else. For me, it's hard to see how this concept differs from claiming that anything you feel like eating is permissible and legitimate. We know that, especially in today's world of abundance, the lack of restraint over our appetite for food makes us overweight and unhealthy. Obesity is an epidemic in the Western world precisely because we find it very difficult to set boundaries for our impulses. As human beings, we're not very good at this. The same thing happens with the endless supply of pornographic content online. The inability to resist this temptation creates serious problems in building intimacy and maintaining a healthy life outside the virtual world. Therefore, the problem with these free sexuality workshops is that they've gone to an extreme, from restrictive norms that create pathological judgment to absolute freedom, which is also pathological. Even if the stated goal of these workshops is to channel sexuality into something higher, in practice, the way they are conducted appeals to our baser instincts. I think it's naive to believe that most people are disciplined enough not to let their sexual urges influence their judgment, or that the abundance of available sexual gratification isn't a primary motivator for attending these workshops in the first place. Spaces where free sexual expression is explicitly or implicitly celebrated. In my view, the healthy place for sexuality is when it is subordinated and harnessed for a greater purpose. Just like all our other instincts. Instincts in themselves are neither good nor bad, and I think this nuance is often missing in these environments. Sexuality, like desire, like jealousy, like appetite, can serve something good or something harmful, and what determines this is the purpose they serve. If they lack purpose, if they become an end in themselves, that's idolatry. It means that our entire being, our entire purpose is to serve our instincts. That's slavery. It's no different from serving Pharaoh. What I've learned from Judaism and its monotheistic message is that it introduced a revolutionary idea. All parts of our psyche, all the idols, are subordinate to one God with a clear hierarchy. Humanity has a higher purpose, and our instincts are meant to serve that purpose, not the other way around. So yes, excessive judgment towards sexuality distorts it and prevents us from harnessing it as a positive force. But what radical liberalism, including contemporary clinical psychology, which emerged from the liberal movement, misses is that we need judgment. Psychology tells the patient the answers are within yourself, but it turns out that we need some form of authority greater than ourselves, whether embodied in God, culture, or society, to find answers to our most fundamental existential questions. Knowing that God judges us is not a bug, it's a feature. We need an element of judgment in our lives to align us with our values, because our instincts can lead us to very dark places. We need to harness our instincts to serve God, the highest human instinct. Otherwise, we are idol worshippers. Thanks for watching.